Hello all. Today in this video we will see that SAP ABAP introduction. SAP is system application and product, and ABAP is advanced business application programming, which is the fourth generation high level programming language. We will see in detail further what is an ERP, what is SAP ERP software, introduction to SAP ERP, and list of modules which are included in the SAP ERP. Okay, so SAP software is enterprise resource planning solution, okay, through which large scale and medium scale companies can manage their business easily. Okay, and SAP software is produced by German based company SAP. Okay, so now SAP company, which is founded in 1972 by 5 former employees of IBM. You can see the name here: Dietmar, Klaus, Hector, Hasso, again Klaus. So these 5 employees founded this SAP company, and they released their standard versions called R1 version and R2 version in early days. Later they released R3 version, that is 3-tier architecture, which was very successful. Okay, in 2000 SAP released ECC, that is Enterprise Central Component. Latest version in the market is ECC 6.0, and they are adding additions to this in the form of enhancement packs. Okay, so why SAP? As I earlier said, that through the SAP software medium scale companies and large scale companies can manage their business very easily. So through this software, that company manage their business in different aspects like supply chain management, human resource, financial, and controlling sales distribution, okay, and so on. So the total SAP software is built using ABAP programming language. There are multiple modules which are present in SAP. Okay, so we will learn SAP ABAP module, which is the development part, not a functional part. ABAP is the development module, not a functional module. All the modules which are present in SAP are functional except ABAP module. Okay, and which is a standard programming language developed by SAP itself. We call ABAP as a fourth generation programming language. So these are some of the modules which are present in SAP: SAP FI, SAP CO, SAP CRM, CS. Okay, so financial and controlling, customer relationship management, there are multiple. Okay, you can read, you just read these modules, just go through on this. Okay, so we will learn our SAP ABAP module, which is the development module. Okay, then you can read till this. Now, what are the architecture models in SAP ERP? There are 3 architecture models: R1, R2, and R3. Okay, before R3 architecture model, they released R1 and R2 version, but they were facing some issues and causing the problems. They released a R3 version, which was very successful. Okay, so what are SAP R1, R2, R3 architectures? R stands for real time, and what are the differences between these architecture models? Okay, so these are three architecture models: R1 real time 1-tier architecture, real time 2-tier architecture, and real time 3-tier architecture. Okay, so R stands for real time data processing, and R1, that is real time 1-tier architecture. We will see SAP R1 is a single layer architecture application. Okay, single layer architecture application in which all 3 modules, all 3 components, presentation layer, application layer, and database layer, are merged and installed in one system layer. You can see here this, the first diagram. You can see this is the single or single layer or 1-tier architecture, where all the 3 layers, that is presentation, application, and database layer, were merged and installed in only one system server. This. Okay, so these 3 are included, these 3 are installed in one system server. Okay, same as like that, this is 2-tier architecture. Presentation layer, which is merged and installed in one system server, and application layer and database layer, both are installed in another system server. So these are called two-tier architecture. Okay, so you are getting my point. Two-tier architecture, application layer and database layer installed in one system server, and presentation layer is installed in another system server. So this is called as two-tier architecture. We will see the three-tier architecture further. Okay, so two-tier architecture, SAP R2 is a two-layer architecture application in which all three components, presentation layer, application layer and database layer, are merged and installed in two system servers. Okay, in R2, presentation component is installed in one system server and application and database component is installed in another system server. Okay, so R3 is the main architecture model. Okay, so SAP R3 is a three-layer architecture application in which all three components, presentation, application and database, are installed in three system servers. Okay, three system server means like this. I'll just erase this one, or I will take new one. Don't save. This will be presentation for our application and this is database. Okay, so this is for application layer. Oh, sorry, presentation layer. This is presentation layer, then this is application layer, and this is database layer. Okay, so these are installed separately in separate system server. Separate system server. Okay, so these are merged and installed in separate system server. Presentation layer is installed on separate system server, application layer is installed on separate system server, database layer is installed on separate system server. But presentation layer means actually what? The GUI, where the user interacts with the where the user interacts with the interface, that is presentation layer, that is SAP GUI, graphical user interface. Okay, so now what is SAP R3 architecture? Explain R3 architecture in detail. And SAP R3 is a three-layer architecture. Okay, so we will see. Okay, as the name suggests, it has three layers: presentation layer, application layer and database layer. So SAP R3 architecture in detail. Okay, so presentation layer, which is the first layer and topmost layer of R3 architecture. Presentation layer presents the end user how an SAP system looks at the front end for performing the transactions. One point to remember, that everything is performed via transactions in SAP. Okay, keep in mind that everything will be done via transaction in SAP. So presentation layer presents the end user how the SAP system looks at front end for the performing transactions. Okay, so this layer consists of GUI, SAP GUI, that is graphical user interface, an interface which connects the system and the end user to perform the transactions. Okay, so GUI are installed in the systems to use the application. Okay, so each and every end user system has an GUI application. If there are suppose in an organization there are 100 employees are currently working on SAP, and 100 systems are present for each one of those, then 100 SAP GUIs will be installed. Okay, so this is written in there. Then application layer is the middle layer of R3 architecture. This layer is the heart of SAP R3 products. This layer is the heart of SAP R3 model. Okay, so this layer consists of the application. All the transactions of the end user are performed in this layer. Okay, an application in this application layer consists of 5 components. Okay, I will show you one diagram here, which is the R3 architecture model. As I said that the first this one, the blue part, you can see this is the presentation layer where client 1, client 2, that means the where the SAP GUI is installed. Okay, this. Okay, then this one where our application or transactions are going to execute, this in which is application layer, and this is the database layer. Okay, so this is called 3-tier architecture. So the application layer is the middle layer of R3 architecture, which is the heart of SAP R3. This layer consists of the application. All transactions of the end user are performed. Okay, so all the transactions are performed in this layer. All the transactions from the end user are performed in application layer. Okay, so it consists of an application in the application layer. An application in the application layer consists of 5 components, which is dispatcher, gateway, buffering, work process, and message. Okay, so first one is dispatcher, then buffering, then work process, then gateway, then message. Okay, so these are the 5 components. Okay, so the first one is dispatcher, which is an interface between presentation layer and application layer. Whatever the end user transactions or whatever the end user performs any transaction, then it goes via dispatcher, and he will get the response back through the dispatcher. Okay, so this is the dispatcher. Buffering, which is the temporary storage area. Okay, buffering is the temporary storage area for the data in order to perform transactions with those data. Usually data are stored as tables in RDBMS. Okay, transactions are performed in an area called work process. Okay, frequently changing tables are stored in the buffer, and transactions are processed with the data from buffer. Okay, so whatever the transactions which are present in buffering area, that will be performed in application layer. Okay, and work process is that area where our transaction is actually going to execute. That is the work process. Gateway acts as an interface between application layer and database layer. Whatever the transactions, suppose like retrieving of data, inserting data, add, delete, insert, like that will be performed via gateway. Okay, it makes the communication between application and database layer. And message, which is a IDOC, that is a document for the internal communication. Like suppose the SAP system want to throw error or warning, suppose password incorrect, username and password, like that. So it through the message. So message is used for internal communication. Okay, then we see the work process as well. Work process is the actual transaction processing area in an application. Okay, work process, it actually processes the transaction. Okay, it includes 3 components: dialog, ABAP processor, and database interface. Okay, so dialog is also called screen processor. So suppose dialog means, let me take an example. Suppose this is screen 1, this is screen 2, and this is screen 3, and it consists button 1, button 2, okay, and button 3. Okay, so this is screen 1, screen 2 and screen 3. If I click on button 1 in this screen, then it will go to this screen. If I click on this button 2, then it will go into third screen. Okay, like that. Okay, so uh, it is called screen processor. From programming point of view, user interaction is controlled by screens. Okay, a screen consists of flow logic. Okay, so then ABAP processor, the actual processing logic of an application program written in ABAP own programming language. The ABAP processor, which executes the processing logic of the application program and communicates with the database interface. The screen processor tells the ABAP processor which module of the screen flow logic should be processed next. Okay, so the next is database interface. So the database interface provides the following services, which converts the OpenSQL into native SQL of the application, establishing connection and terminating the connection between work process and database. So to access the database tables, and to access the R3 repository objects, which includes ABAP program screens and so on. Okay, so access to catalog information, then controlling the transaction. Okay, so then you can read this. There is this is for some basic information. You can read this one. Then we will see the types of work process. So there are 5 types of work process. Dialog work process, as just see here, from one screen to another screen, then second screen to third screen. So this is dialog work process, which deals with the request from an active user to execute the dialog steps. Update work process executes the database update requests are part of an SAP LUW, which is a logical unit of work that bundle the database operations resulting from the dialog in a database. Okay, so back update, if we see update in detail, then what we can say that if you want to update a record in a database table, then that is update work process. Background work process means what? Which is hidden from user, the process which is happening in the background and which is hidden from user. Okay, so process program that can be executed without user interaction, that are background jobs. Okay, and then enqueue work process, which administers a log table in the shared memory area. Okay, so the log table contains logical database logs for R3 system and is an important part of the SAP logical unit of work concept. In R3 system, you may only have one log table. You may therefore also only have one application server with enqueue process. Okay, spool work process means the spool work process passes the sequential data sets to a printer or to optical archiving. Each application server may contain only one spool work process. Here spool numbers are generated and actions are performed according to the order of that spool number. Okay, so message, as we earlier said that for the internal communication, message will be used. Okay, so this is about the all the overview about SAP ABAP. We will see in the next video how to create the first program, then first database table, then how to create a transport request. Okay, so we will see in the next sessions. Okay, so if you like my video, please subscribe to my channel.